Welcome back for another video. I'm Eharbad, a free-to-play endgame player in Raid Shadow Legends. I'm soon to be a free-to-play early game player as well with this Fresh Start 2023 challenge I've inexplicably signed myself up to. And I'm away on holiday next weekend too, so it's really going to make this hard on myself. Anyway, first let's talk Fusion Prep. Now, it's a bit of an odd one. We have the Fusion warm-up event that ends in 2 days, 14 hours, but we've also been told that the Fusion starts tomorrow. So who knows? Scheduling is hard these days, isn't it? So anyway, whatever the case may be, I guess they started the Fusion warm-up event later than they intended, couldn't adjust the duration of the warm-up, who knows? All we have to do is summon 20 mysteries per day over the 4 days to get all the rewards. I would hold back on using the energy until we A, are able to see the schedule for the Fusion event, and B, make a decision on when we actually need that energy. If you don't collect it here, it will go to your inbox and you have another 6 days once this has disappeared. So if this ends in 2 days, 15 hours, it will probably stay for another 1 to 2 days. Then it goes to your inbox, then you have another 6 days. So you can really push that energy back quite a long time until you need to use it. Overall, I'd say hopefully by now you've seen the way I run my account enough times to expect I'm hoarding whatever resources I can. But importantly, in such a way that I'm not losing out on any. So I'm never energy capped, or at least I'm very rarely energy capped, usually overnight. It happens every now and then. By and large, I avoid being energy capped. I would never advise stockpiling energy by allowing it to build up in your active energy pool, but rather save any refills you can in the inbox. So once again, we've got tournament rewards that are getting diverted to my inbox. You can see some arena. I don't even use all my arena tokens anymore. There's no need. I finished my my Great Hall a while ago, and I do enough basically to restock my Magisteel and no more beyond that. But I digress a bit there. But overall, it's about managing the inbox in such a way that you always have energy here for when you need it. Now, there will be occasions when we get a really good tournament or event, or that we have like an energy crunch. It could be CBC, it could be during the Fusion, and I'll use everything I have in my inbox and get it all done. But if there isn't something, I'm always kicking the can down the road, leaving the energy there as long as possible. And then if we get to the point where I have to use it and no event or tournament has occurred that is particularly compelling, I'll use it mostly in Minotaur. That way, I'm never letting it go to waste. It's always ultimately helping me progress the account in some way. The reality is, though, since the last CBC, there's been nothing of interest to plough energy into. The champion training was meagre. The 4th anniversary events have not sparked my interest at all. So we actually, we won the PR CVC, which is a real rarity for us. It's like I've got a lot of resources here to be used. We've got the promo code that expires tomorrow. I think that will probably expire before the Fusion starts, but I'm going to hold off claiming that until tomorrow morning, and I'll try and gauge how long there might be between me having to claim that and the Fusion starting, and see whether I need to redirect that to or not. The CVC tournament award, I'll definitely be able to hold back until the tournament starts. That still has over a day, so over 24 hours remaining. So I should be good there. Whilst we're here, though, we can collect the other stuff for the CVC win. Always nice when you do win the PR CVC, particularly. We are a tier 6 clan, and I am tier 6 on personal rewards. Just don't typically tend to win them. That's at least nice to get those. What else can I say? The other area that you can try and stockpile would be on the weekly quests, which mine have just reset today, so dailies there. They reset yesterday, so I will be holding these back until we need them during the fusion. Often I would advise also holding back the monthly ones until we reach a point where it is advantageous for you to use those energy refills. So I'll get to use the monthly during the fusion. Beyond that, another area that you can, we leveled up, and you go, now level 16, do we get anything for that? Not really. We don't open any more clan shop slots. We don't get any more campaign silver. We don't get any more extra multi-battles. We literally get nothing. Daily rewarding. Anyway, what I was going to say is the clan shop. Sometimes this can be energy. It isn't at the moment, unfortunately. But that's another place that we can get energy. And then obviously in top of that, we have the TTA. If we go here and we go to the bazaar, this will reset at least 2 times during the fusion itself. So it's worth making sure that we're able to make use of this in an efficient way as well. So really it's about stockpiling resources and using them when you most need them. Now you could ask me, why haven't I been pushing on the Dragon tournament? The reality is I don't value speed gear that highly at all. I will never win a speed race in endgame PvP, and my other gear is plenty fast enough for all of the PvE content. In fact, the set stat bonuses are higher value in pretty much every other set other than speed set. So unless you're building maximum speed, you really shouldn't be using speed set in an ideal world. I do have some champions that still have pieces of speed gear on them, but most of the time it's for specific builds like my fast man eater in Bat Eater. So the reality is actually over the last few days, I've actually been redirecting my daily energy to Minotaur. I've been in here farming quite a number of masteries. There are a couple of champions that I never finished, the second or third tier 5. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to finish some of the masteries on champions that never quite got them finished. And I've been sort of grinding up Nishak's masteries as well. I'd like to try him in a few bits of content. We can do a similar kind of progression with him that we did with Theodore. So we'll give him a try in lots of different content, see kind of what the absolute maximum we can get out of him. I think if you look at what we've done it with 2 champions recently. We did it with Theodore, and most recently we did it with Yakal, where we went through a lot of different content and really tried to find all the different use cases we could for a champion. It's a little bit more intense than many of the other kind of champion showcases that go around. It definitely takes a lot longer to kind of dig into what a champion can really do. But hopefully it's something that you guys find interesting. It's certainly what interests me within the game is not just sort of quickly using a champion and seeing what they can do, but really kind of trying to push the envelope. Beyond Minotaur, though, I have actually even done the dungeon that I pretend does not exist, the Sand Devil. So yesterday I finally relented and did my first ever battles in that new dungeon using the very popular Ninja and Godseeker duo. I found that Ninja was able to solo up to stage 11, and then I had to switch to using the duo thereafter, predominantly on manual, to make sure that the progress was consistent, particularly when on the off affinity, on the force affinity stages. I found stage 21 was particularly problematic, and really actually stage 21, 22 and 23 all required multiple attempts to get kind of good RNG to be able to get it through and get it done. So there was definitely a bit of wasted energy involved in kind of beating these 3 stages. But I kind of contrasted that with if I'd built or tweaked other champions to be able to do it without using the duo, I'd have wasted more resources doing that as a one-off than I would, wasting the equivalent of, say, a full energy refill failing on these 3 stages until we got to 24. Not bothered about 25. I don't have a team built to do it. I might look at doing that one day just as a challenge, if you will, but until then, we've got stage 24 unlocked. We're able to do it, and it should be consistent. I have played around a little bit with the builds. I did have to really bump up Ninja's stats to be able to get through that off affinity stage. It was actually pretty challenging. He takes a lot more damage. So I might right now potentially be overkill on the Ninja build. And I kind of got to see how it goes and make a decision in terms of if I need to tweak it at all. I know Saphira has done a real deep dive calculating the exact stats required, so I'll certainly be referencing his work when I look to adjust my builds. But that aside, I have plenty of energy in the inbox. I have that rare personal reward CVC win, and the fusion should start tomorrow, and I think I'll be in a good position to get it done on the main. Now, of course, we have to talk about the free-to-play 2.0, I guess, because all of my accounts are, well, all one of them are free-to-play. So like most of the other content creators go, I'm doing a free-to-play. That's just what I call playing the game. There is no spend account. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to be starting that on Friday along with the rest of the content creators that are taking part, and a lot of the community I think will probably also jump in at least initially. It's always fun, I guess. The first few weeks, even up to the first couple of months, but then it usually does start to drag. I feel like that will kind of be the case for a lot of people. Anyway, suffice to say, the draft yesterday on Hell Hades stream, it wasn't particularly kind to me. Aethel as the starter, I think, is fine. I had hoped that I would get either Kale or Elhain, predominantly because, well, Gaelic's the worst by far, like the least useful, doesn't have really a use case, even ultra endgame in terms of like the secret rooms. I don't think he's good there. Elhain's probably the best for the secret rooms, best for that kind of long-term Doom Tower. And Kale is the only one that's really Nightmare viable on Clan Boss, even potentially could probably get away with using him in Ultra Nightmare if you want a 3 or 4 key. So those are the two best. Aethel also I actually used on my original account, so I thought it'd be nice to actually have a different starter. Ultimately, I think what I'm going to end up doing is focusing on ranking up Rhonda. So it will delay the speed at which I get the first 6-star, but I'll use that time to make sure that I'm being efficient with my resources, getting as much food farmed as possible. And although we delay the first 6-star and lose a bit of efficiency by not having the 6-star for a few days, I think in the long run, we'll gain more efficiency by not wasting a precious 6-star early on. So we're going to 6-star Rhonda. In terms of the epic that we've got coming in, we have Chonoru, who's definitely not the one I was hoping for. Either Mordecai or ideally Deacon would have been my call. That's what I would have most liked to have got. I think there's a lot of flexibility with both of those champions, particularly Deacon. I think we can get a lot of progression there. But we don't have him, so we're going to have to make do without. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think hopefully it will make for more interesting content, if nothing else. Now, it might not be that we end up being the absolute fastest, particularly, say, in the first 2 to 4 weeks. But, we might get lucky with some of the pulls. And ultimately, the RNG, I think, on shards will really kind of dictate how the account evolves. So I think as long as we keep our heads down, we just kind of crack on with it. I think the shard luck will dictate the way the account evolves quite a lot, particularly in how quickly we're able to get Nightmare and then Ultra Nightmare on farm. That's going to be my biggest kind of overarching objective for the beginning of the game. So really, if we think the small goals are get a campaign farmer going, get your first 60, get campaign on lockdown, be able to do 12-3 brutal. at 100% with a reasonably quick time. That is kind of goal number 1. Goal number 2 is be able to farm Minotaur 15. Now those are kind of the first 2 short-term goals, but the overarching objective thereafter really is get Ultra Nightmare on farm. So once we've got Minotaur on farm, we'll be progressing everything else as much as we can, but in our minds, everything we do has to be towards getting Ultra Nightmare on farm. At least Nightmare on farm, because once we have Nightmare, we have access to Sacred Shards and Legendary Books coming from Clan Boss. Now, you don't get loads of them from Nightmare. You do get enough that you're able to slowly max out the odd Legendary and get the odd fusion. So that's going to be kind of the most critical thing for us. That's going to be what we've got our eyes on. Obviously, in terms of efficiency, we'd like to be able to get an unkillable going, either like a Demither unkillable or a budget man-eater. But I think in terms of content, it would probably be most interesting to do a classic, traditional, killable Clan Boss team. In fact, my first Ultra Nightmare team on my main account was not an unkillable team. I was farming Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare, 2 or 3 key Ultra Nightmare, 1 key Nightmare for a very long time using a killable team until I pulled my first man-eater, and then I did switch to budget, and then I pulled a second man-eater and switched to bat-eater. Now the only reason I switched is just A, it's more reliable, B, it takes less effort. The setup was shorter. It meant that I was able to auto it more friendly. You know, the other team was auto, but it did require a lot longer setup. I had to manual more rounds of the encounter until it was able to be full autoed. The reality is that's why I changed it. Also, my old team wasn't fully affinity friendly, required a few swaps. I had gear swap between Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare. So, you know, there was a lot of little nuances that I had to manage to be able to be doing that. And you don't have to do any of that with with Bat-Eater rather. So that is why I ended up with an unkillable. It wasn't because I got lucky and got the champions early or wasn't able to go the long route. I did go the long route, but once you get the lucky with the RNG after, there's no reason to hamstring yourself in the long run. Anyway, I hope that this video has been kind of interesting to some degree. At least you kind of see where my mind is with the fusion, what planning I've done there. You can see that I've finally given up and started farming Sand Devil. My rationale was it would be useful for me to put in the energy now into Sand Devil to stock up on these potions so I'm able to do whatever daily quests we get during the fusion. If we get the Ascend artifact during the fusion, I don't need to waste energy on it during the fusion. I've pre-farmed Sand Devil to be able to do those. That was the underlying rationale for doing it, was that I'd got down to 60 oils from the advanced quest, from the free oils they'd given us initially. And I knew if we had, 2 or 3, maybe even 4 of those quests during the next 2 weeks in the fusion, I wanted to make sure that I at least had a good amount of the oil now when I have excess energy, because there isn't an event that I'm farming. This seemed like a efficient use of my time and energy. So yeah, good luck with the fusion. I do think it is a fusion worth getting. I think I saw a video from one of the content creators the other day, and it looked like the A3 is only used when there is a champion to be revived. So that is a positive. I think that will make the champion significantly stronger. I'll definitely be getting the champion, building the champion, and testing the champion out in a lot of different content in the future. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye for now.